Hello, welcome to GLC. This is another episode about the end times and the war on ethics. Well, as you'll see, this video has a deep topic again, and I would like to tell you more about it. I hope you wake up for the things that are actually going on in the world, and that you see things that actually as they are. The Bible is full of warnings, and it has a lot of different things. And I would like to tell you that the mitzvot, the commandments, are set since the Bible has begun. That the mitzvot gives you restrictions, but these are good restrictions because if you live to these restrictions, you come closer to God. Keep that in mind. So, the mitzvot are actually set to adapt to any kind of situation going on by outside sources that are going on. Right now we are in a very bad period in life, very disastrous times, and we just had an awful year already. I'm gonna talk about the Romans. They are actually historically a danger, and also currently has connections to the now. Because the Romans, not only Constantine, perhaps also Arius, he was something that Arianism was built on. But do not confuse it with Arianism from Hitler. That is total different bullshit. But in the next episode I'm also gonna talk about Hitler and this Aryan movement. That is actually something also that's a big, huge illusion. Well, the Romans, just like Alexander the Great, they also had connections to India. In India there is Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, and there is a movement in there that came later that is called Left Hand Path. Left Hand Path is actually based on the left hand of Shiva. But in the next episode I'm going to talk more deeper about what it is. So I'm not going completely into what it is. But what I believe is that the Romans and even the Vatican actually have corrupted the original Christianity. They took away Yeshua's Jewishness. It took it away. And I'm gonna talk about that, taking away the Jewishness. I'm gonna talk about that, how it's inflicting your current life as a Christian. Okay, don't get me wrong, because it's a totally different branch of following Yeshua's path. But you have to understand scriptures. To understand the scriptures is your only savings in this case. So it does not matter what exactly you do. Well, it is what you do, but you have to hold to the Bible, to the commandments, to the mitzvot. To understand that, and also keep yourself to the Old Testament, the Tanakh. But Yeshua was there to fulfill. So Yeshua was there to set everything right that went wrong in rabbinical Judaism. Keep that in mind. Yeshua was the fulfillment that did that. But you, Bethlehem, Nil Ephrat, so small among the clans of Yehuda, out of you will come forth to tell me the future ruler of Israel, whose origins are far in the past, back in the ancient times. Matthew 2:23. The virgin will conceive and bear a son, and they will call him Emmanuel. The Ruach HaKodesh will come over you, the Holy Spirit, so to say. The power of Ha-Elyon will cover you. Therefore the Holy Child born to you will be called the Son of God. From the Matthew 5:17. Don't think that I have come to abolish the Torah and the prophets, or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to complete. Yes, indeed. I tell you, until the heaven and earth pass away, so not as much as a yud or a stroke will pass from the Torah, not until everything that must happen has happened. So whoever disobeys the least of these mitzvot, commandments, and teaches others to do so will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever obeys them and so teaches will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness is far greater than that of the Torah teachers and Pushurim, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. About the mitzvot and the current times. Well, there is this modern psychology that focuses actually right now on the self. Well, what does that mean? We are in an era that actually talks a lot about the ego. Lots of people are becoming egotistic and are very selfish, etc, etc, etc. But the danger in that, in being selfish and being egotistic, that is one of the root causes for friction, frustration, confusion, loss of identity control. Colossians 2:8-9. Watch out, so that no one will take you captive by means of philosophy and empty deceit, following human tradition, which accords with the elemental spirits of the world, but does not accord with Messiah. For him bodily lives the fullness of all that God is. And it is in union with him that you have been made full. He is the head of every rule and authority. Because, what does that mean? Who am I? What do I do? I don't know what to do. That's because some people do not hold to the commandments and they are becoming lost. And this ego, what is being created in our current society, we are becoming selfish. So that results eventually into results for more needs. I want more that, I want more that, I need to do that, I need to do that, I want more, I want more, I want more. So that eventually becomes an engagement of greed. And that is a huge danger. Actually, the key that I'm going to show you. When he has come to occupy the throne of his kingdom, he is to write a copy of this Torah for himself in the scroll. From the one to Kohanim, which is Kohanim is like a priest-like figure, and Leviim, it is to remain with him, and he has to read in it every day as long as he lives, so that he will learn to fear Adonai, his God, and to keep all the words of this Torah and these laws, to obey them, so that he will not think he is better than his kinsmen, and so that he will not return aside of either to the right or to the left from the commandments. In this way he will prolong his own reign and that of the children of Israel. Coming back to more on the egoism, it has more side effects, because the side effects are causing the confusion that this is actually causing, that people are not understanding they have more freedom than people that are being in physical wars. And these physical wars, I'm talking about genocide, fights, riots, civil wars, world wars, etc. And more into that kind of thing that is caused by all the ego, selfishness, and all the confusion coming from the build-up of that kind of ego. Because if you understand the ego, and if you understand the Bible more and more, you understand this current situation that we are in now. And people make more restrictions for you, because you are making, as an egotistic person, a danger to another, which makes others become fascist or make them more dictatorial. That's one of the prophecies that you knowingly or unknowingly are fulfilling, and that's the great deception that's going on right now in the world. John 5:23. So that all you may honor the Son as they honor the Father. Whoever fails to honor the Son is not honoring the Father who sent him. Revelation 21:6. And he said to me, it is done. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. To anyone thirsty, I myself will give water free of charge from the fountain of life. He who wins the victory will receive these things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowardly and untrustworthy, the vile and the murderers and the sexual immoral, those involved with occult and with drugs, idol worshippers, and all liars, their destiny is in the lake of burning fire and sulfur, the second death. By the left-hand path. by the secret societies that are around in the world. Because all these egotistical things and all the confusion, they are the roots and the results for becoming distrustful and disgust for people and hatred. So people are becoming more and more aggressive towards each other. And that is not what the Bible is saying. And that's why we have mitzvot, the commandments to hold to. Because if we hold to them, that is life.
I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. To anyone thirsty, I myself will give water free of charge from the fountain of life.
Yeshua was there to set all the things right. So we only have to wait for the second coming of Christ, and then hopefully you and I are becoming saved by His grace. So you have to understand what true restrictions are. And yes, we get more and more restrictions in this world as we speak. Not because we don't want it, and not because we want it, because there is a certain game that is being practiced right now in the world by these secret societies. Please remember the very words of the beginning, what I just told you. This is dark psychology programming by these secret societies. And Yeshua is the path to life. That's what I'm telling you. So, let me tell you some other kind of things that are dangerous here. As I'm gonna talk also more about in the next episode, the Romans were the masters of fascism. That's also where the fascist symbol comes from. Perhaps you know it, perhaps you don't know it, but you sometimes see the symbol in the videos I have made before and will make. It's a few rods with an axe on it. But keep in mind that the Romans had contact in India. And the Romans, they were the learned ones of the brutal things. So in India there is this left-hand path, dark teachings. That is what they are following. That is why they became masters of fascism and dark rituals, etc., etc. And also the Romans were the ones that taught crucifixion from the Persians. Okay? This is the second time I'm referring to the Persians. Because the Persians, the Romans I mean, they perfected the crucifixion, and that resulted in our Savior, in our Lord. Yeshua, that He will come to help us again in this world so that we can go to heaven with Him. So, let me tell you a little bit more about the game that's being played in this dark psychology things that are at play. Well, there's this I think everybody has heard once in this time about Geert Wilders from the Netherlands. Well, he is kind of an extreme guy, but he means well. Because he is another guy that faced left-hand path fascism by Prime Minister Rutte. And even before that there were more prime ministers that were actually in the secret societies. Rutte is also in a secret society. Geert Wilders was the biggest political party in the Netherlands a couple of years back. And left-hand path, or the lefties, or the left-wing parties, if you want to call them like that also, shoved him aside because they don't want to rule with him. But Geert Wilders wants good things. He has good points, that's what I'm saying. He has good points. I may not always agree with things he says or how he puts it, but deep inside I think he means well. So, what is democracy if the biggest party is shoved aside? That is not democracy. That is a fascist move. That is a dictatorial move. Okay, let me tell you about a new political party that has been here in Netherlands for a couple of years already. Forum van Democratie. Forum of Democracy. It is led by Thierry Baudet, and he discovered something lately in what Rutte, Prime Minister Rutte had been saying, because Rutte was using the terminology build back better. That's something he found out. It's a clue to something he read before, or maybe not read before, but he found out, because there is something called the Big Reset, and he found out that this terminology, build back better, came from this guy called Klaus Schwab. He wrote a huge book about things that are to come. And they have fascist ideas and to implement things for the future. So, if you know Dutch, I put a link in the description and you can read it yourself. I will put an extra link about the Great Reset, so you can also read that. It's in English, okay? So you can read that, and maybe you can find more about the books about Klaus Schwab yourself. Well, what these secret societies do to you is actually getting you wrong mental inputs. Like, you get too much sparkles in your brain, you get too much different kinds of information, media gives you this and that, you get false philosophies, which I'm gonna also give you a reference to.
Colossians 2:8-9. Watch out, so that no one will take you captive by means of philosophy and empty deceit, following human tradition, which accords with the elemental spirits of the world, but does not accord with Messiah. For him bodily lives the fullness of all that God is. And it is in union with him that you have been made full. He is the head of every rule and authority.
In a video, which I'm also going to reference to. And well, if it's too much non-biblical philosophy, or just well, some things that are just not biblical. It gives you all of the things above that I have told you about, and this is the opening gate to the things that actually happen with us right now for fulfilling the prophecies. It is being done by the secret societies in this manner. So they are reverse engineering you, and you are the one that receives it all by media, etc., etc. So it's a big deceiving. But let me tell you more about why I think that there is much more corruption in the world than just only this that I have just mentioned. It's only a part of it. But what I'm also about to tell you is also something that could make you second guess the things you've learned in church or whatever, what you have learned about Christianity and how we as Westerners use the Julian calendar. Okay, because the Julian calendar is made by Julius Caesar. It is proposed by him in 46 before Christ. So it was already there. And as I will tell you later, there is a Alexander the Great connection there, because the Julian calendar is based on Greek mathematicians and Greek astronomers like Socinus of Alexandria. That is one of them. But keep in mind, the Romans and the Greeks were pagan. So that's one of the things that you really have to consider. And don't forget Constantine first, because he changed the mitzvot of the Shabbat. He changed it to Sunday. Originally, it's not Sunday that is the Shabbat.
Yikra, or Leviticus 26:2. Keep my Shabbats and revere my sanctuary. I am Adonai. Well, this is something that has been changed in the history for the Christians. This became Sunday because of Emperor Constantine.
So, but also keep in mind that Christmas is celebrated on a pagan day. On a pagan day. Come on. Why do we celebrate Christmas on a pagan day? This is something that's not good and not by the will of God. Because if you hold yourself to the mitzvot, the commandments given by God, by all the prophets throughout the Torah and throughout Brit Chashidah, the New Testament with Jesus, Yeshua, then you are following the path.
Don't think that I have come to abolish the Torah and the prophets, or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to complete. Yes, indeed. I tell you, until the heaven and earth pass away. So not as much as a yud or a stroke will pass from the Torah. Not until everything that must happen has happened. So whoever disobeys the least of these mitzvot, commandments, and teaches others to do so, will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, but whoever obeys them and so teaches will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness is far greater than that of the Torah teachers and Pushurim, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, let me show you something. John witnessed concerning him when he cried out, "This is the man I was talking about," when he said, "The one coming after me has come to rank ahead of me, because he existed before me." We all have received from his fullness, yes, grace upon grace. For the Torah was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach.
But we follow a Julian calendar, which is actually a decoy of everything the Bible stands for. It is a deceit, it's an illusion. So there is the thing where already the corruption starts. In December, it's not the birthday of Yeshua, it's not the birthday of Jesus. So it's that's a corruption we live, and it's not biblical at all, because you deviate from the classical true Bible interpretation and works. Actually, if you follow these lifestyles, to be honest. Also, in the Bible, it says that a mitzvot cannot be taken out, but can neither put in. But only one person has done that, and that was Yeshua. Remember, Yeshua was a Jew. He was the one that started Christianity. But do you really follow his footsteps? Because Yeshua is throughout the whole Bible, from the beginning and the end. Aleph and Tav, Alpha and Omega. And if you are Catholic, this is not a Christian way, not biblical at all. Because once a pagan, always a pagan. Sorry to say. Paganism is not the way of Yeshua, and neither can you blend it with paganism. Just because all of this, it's getting more and more worse in the world. It may sound crazy, but think of it. Wake up.
Reading at Zechariah 14. Zechariah. Look, a day is coming for Adonai, when your plunder, Jerusalem, will be divided right there within you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem for war. The city will be taken, the houses will be rifled, the women will be raped, and half of the city will be into exile. But the rest of the people will not be cut off from the city. Adonai will go out and fight all those nations, fighting as a day of battle. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which lies to the east of Jerusalem, and Mount of Olives will be split in half, from east to west, to make a huge valley. Half of the mountain will be moved towards the north, and half of it toward the south.
And I have another video what actually is the reason why we have so much trouble, so much landslides, earthquakes, etc., etc. So if you want to hear that theory, just go to the description box, and I will also edit it in this video. At what time you have to look in that video where the theory starts about what I was talking about here. Because keep in mind all the mental things that I told you, the reprogramming of your mind, the wrong mental inputs, those actually equals chaos and confusion. Because of all this illusionary thing, this is actually the Omega kicking in, the destruction. And this is fulfilling worldwide all the prophecies. And that's why we, you and I, willingly and unwillingly are living up to prophecies without even knowing, and we are actually fucking the earth in this way because we do not hold to the biblical commandments, the mitzvot, the mitzvah. So keep this in consideration, all of what I've just been saying, please. I'm signing off.